Am I the asshole for refusing to help rekindle my girlfriend's friendship with our neighbor after she refused to help her in an emergency? My 25 female girlfriend, 26 Lotta, has always been on the more quiet and reserved side, but also incredibly kind and conscientious of other people. She also doesn't let others walk over her and knows how to set and stick to boundaries, which is one of the reasons I was attracted to her. But a few weeks ago, I think she was too ruthless. A few weeks ago, our upstairs neighbor, who Lotta and I are close with, showed up at our door sobbing and begging Lotta to babysit her 5-year-old for an hour because her 1-month-old was having trouble breathing and has stopped breathing at one point and needed to go to the hospital ASAP. The neighbor explained her mother was on the way as they speak, but she has no one else to take care of her other son. She also offered to pay Lotta. I was at work at the time. Lotta said no. She said she was busy and couldn't do it. The neighbor ended up taking both kids to the hospital. I found out about this incident when I got home from work, and Lotta told me. I was genuinely surprised to hear she said no, which seemed to annoy Lotta. It's been 3 weeks since that event, and our neighbor has been quite cold to Lotta, and this really bothers her. She says she was just setting boundaries, and that our neighbor was entitled and snobby for being upset that Lotta said no. I explained I felt differently, and am more on our neighbor's side, as 1, she has never asked us for any favors in the 3 years we've known her, and 2, this was a medical emergency, not her wanting to go clubbing with her friends. I told Lotta that she didn't teach our neighbor a lesson. She only added stress she didn't need. This really upset Lotta because she thought I would be on her side. She then asked me to talk to our neighbor to try and rekindle their friendship. I said I can't do that for her. She needs to apologize herself and put in the work. Lotta stormed off and now keeps saying I'm being a huge asshole for not siding with her and helping her with our neighbor who is her friend. Am I the asshole? Lotta was busy cooking dinner and catching up on a show of hers. She wasn't working or doing anything that would be dangerous for kids to be around. Not the asshole. This was a medical emergency, not her wanting to go clubbing with her friends. I told Lotta that she didn't teach our neighbor a lesson. She only added stress she didn't need. That's it right there. This is so horrible to do to someone. Because Lotta was busy, that poor 5-year-old was exposed to further trauma by having to go to the hospital and potentially witness their baby sibling being poked and prodded and probably have tubes shoved down their throat. I really hope Lotta doesn't want children of her own. Or maybe I do, because then she will realize what a total she was to this poor woman. The neighbor's other kid couldn't breathe, and she couldn't watch the 5-year-old for an hour. I wouldn't want to date someone that's selfish. Setting boundaries is important, but that's just cold. What kind of partner is she, if you can't rely on her in a life or death situation? Agreed, this would be an instant deal breaker. I can't think of many things that I wouldn't drop right then to watch the kid. Food can be reheated, shows can be paused, work can have a break. I would love to know what she was so busy with that she couldn't stop for an hour. This was a major emergency, and OP's girlfriend showed how terribly dark her heart is. How could you ever trust someone again after finding that out? This person was supposedly a friend to her, and she treated her like the shit on the bottom of her shoe during a terrifying moment of crisis for her. If she treats friends like that, I can't imagine she would be a good partner, because she's clearly not a good person. It's not just selfishness, it's a social disorder. This is the unsurprising result of a generation being taught that their individual preferences outweigh the needs of their community. The typical response is, I'm not obligated to do X, while simultaneously expecting their social bonds to remain unaffected. Here it goes even further, as Lotta is still expecting all the benefits of society, friendly neighbors, but was unwilling to A. Perform the initial act of support, or B. Perform any social restitution, apology. The selfish trend continues in the meta with OP. Lotta expects her inner circle to both validate her choices as well as do the social work for her to regain social standing. Her definition of friends seems like people who will do stuff for me without any reciprocal expectations or conditions, which sounds much more like a devoted parent than a friend. Not the asshole. Good for you for recognizing that it wasn't your job to mend the fences that Lotta broke. She might be good and kind in most instances, but in this case, she doesn't know how to admit that she was wrong and apologize to the right person. Sounds like she's mad at everyone but herself. I'm also on the neighbor's side. This was a small test of friendship for Lotta, and she failed it. She didn't want to be inconvenienced, which is fine. But now, your neighbor doesn't want to be inconvenienced by befriending Lotta. Not the asshole. She says she was just setting boundaries, And so is the neighbor by distancing herself as a result of these boundaries. People really think they can treat people however they want and then get upset when they suffer the consequences as a result. If Lotta wants to rekindle her friendship with the neighbor, Lotta should talk to her herself. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.